Good evening, everybody. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. On a Monday, it must be time for your, usually weekly Calamity Jane live stream, though it's been a bit, we've been a bit quiet last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think our schedules have just been crazy busy, either with you or with me. So we've been kind of not being able to sync. But I just flew in about a half hour ago from Texas, and now here we are. We're going to do a stream tonight just to kind of get ourselves recalibrated, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's kind of the
yeah.
plan.
Yeah, we need to get
So
going. Yeah, it's been
yeah,
quiet on the Calamity front for a little bit, and it's time to jump back into it.
the beauty of it is Calamity Jane work is never completed. There's always more stuff to do,
Oh
and
yeah.
so that's what we'll do. We'll jump into some stuff tonight, and we'll continue right where we left off, as if we never missed a week
Oh
or
no.
missed a beat or anything.
Or anything. Yeah, right, exactly. So what are we working on tonight?
All right, I'll go into share mode, and there we go. All right, when we last left off, I was working on Calamity landing on the Warhogs from getting booted and getting her tail snapped, and
Mm-hmm.
then landing on one here. So I'll keep working on this. And again, like we wrapped up with the last time we had a stream was I had the tail lifted like right here with this Warhog, but that's going to be edited out. And I'm just going to go ahead and recycle one of these other Warhogs to run alongside. There's no
Mm-hmm.
need for Swarg to hang on his tail, but then I'm also working on Calamity Jane's pose with her new little cutesy tail that she's got here as she discovers freedom of some sort, of sorts, as we go through the episode. So yeah, she'll wiggle it, she'll be all happy. But yeah, so I'll be working on new assets tonight for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we'll keep on going.
Excellent.
Um, I do want to tell. I do want to kind of. I mean, I don't know whether you had a topic in mind or not, but I definitely did. In Texas and on my way back, I just wanted to tell you. I went to Best Buy. We were taking my niece to go look at laptops and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just gonna see how crazy it is. Is it really that impossible to get a Nintendo Switch too? So I went over to Best Buy after we got done looking at the laptops. I walked over to the game section, and lo and behold, a bunch of Switch 2s were ready to go. People were ready to go buy them. I did not buy one. It's almost like, did I just discover the Lost Ark and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I needed to buy one then and there? I mean, the thing was, we're in Texas, and I didn't want to lug one back on the plane. I already had my Switch 1 with me, and I didn't want to put another thing through security. So, and also, it was a Switch 2 with no Mario Kart. It
Oh,
was the
gross.
evil model.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's the gross
yeah.
model. But okay, from my point of view, just being kind of skeptical about it all. Plenty of games to buy for the Switch 2. Plenty of Nintendo Switch 2s to buy if you wanted it. But again, this is in Texas, in the middle, smaller town, Lubbock. So hey, if you happen to watch the stream and you're in Lubbock and you want Switch 2, go to the Best Buy. There's plenty over there that I
Yeah,
saw as
yeah.
of yesterday. But yeah, that's fun and interesting because Nintendo was talking about how they were selling out and nobody could get them, and then they sold 5 million units, and then no, they didn't sell 5 million units. It was an incorrect thing. Anyway, it's one of the kind of I wanted to throw that out there to you because I know you could probably be talking about Switch 2 stuff all night tonight. So
Well,
anyway,
yeah, I did get a Switch 2. And
yeah.
not only did I get a Switch 2, I had multiple opportunities to get a Switch 2. So I
Wait,
hadn't
multiple? I thought you had two opportunities. Did you have more than? Did you really have more than two?
yeah, the so Amazon started sending out invites as well to buy the Switch 2.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but so it turns out that I hadn't heard about the 5 million units number being false,
Okay. Uh-huh.
I feel like I have to eat a little bit of crow here. I was complaining for a week or two about, of course, they're out of stock, yada yada yada, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
they did it. They actually are meeting demand. I Most people I know
I
at this point
yeah,
have been
yeah.
able to get exactly what they want. Definitely the Mario Kart one. Um, I don't know anybody who wanted the the Switch 2 without Mario Kart. I don't know why you would
Yeah,
buy
yeah, you
that,
would yeah.
but I don't know. People are crazy. Maybe there's someone out there who actually doesn't like Mario Kart. Anyway, yeah. So my buddy who lives in Florida, he he texted me and was like, "Hey, I managed to get my hands on a second Switch 2. You want me to ship it to you?" And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not?
Hmm.
So he said, I'll ship it to you, and I'll just charge you like the cost, at cost,
Hmm.
wholesale. I'm not gonna do anything else." I'm like, okay. So he overnighted it to me, and so I was able to take it with me on my trip to Vegas, which I went on a few days. I mean, literally the day after I got it, and it took me basically all day to um, install all of the, do all the transfer stuff and everything. But I was ready to go by the next day, and it was completely painless to do all of the transfers and stuff. So
Wait, so let's re
yeah,
I just want to double check on this. You said it took you like a day to get your stuff updated to the Switch 2, like transfer all your save data from all your, because you had like what, 8 years with history with Switch 1, right?
yeah,
And then
exactly, yeah.
that took a while to, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it was
Okay.
purely the downloading the content. I mean, the actual transfer from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 took about 10 minutes, right?
Uh-huh.
But then I have
Uh-huh.
so many games on my Switch 1 that what it did is it transferred the licenses over from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2 and then just automatically started downloading everything, right?
Okay.
You don't even
Hmm.
have to like when you turn the Switch 2 on, it immediately goes, "Hey, do you want to transfer from your Switch 1?" You're like, "Yes, cool." Put the Switch 1 next to your Switch 2 and then you don't have to set up your Wi-Fi, you don't have to, I mean, it just automatically connects
Hmm.
and it's totally seamless, totally effortless. But anyway, so that was great and I got to take Mario Kart with me to Vegas and
Hmm.
the day that I got the Switch 2, I finally got the email from Nintendo saying, "Hey, you can you could buy a Switch 2 now." And I'm like,
Okay.
"Well, okay." I mean, I'm glad I got the one for my buddy David because if I bought the one from Nintendo for myself, it wouldn't have gotten there in time for me to take it to Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
But I did get it for a different friend of mine, and I shipped that Switch out to him, right? So and then I had another buddy who is like decided not to buy one because he lives in Canada and it's insanely expensive uh,
Okay.
in Canada, like 700 Canadian. So it's quite expensive up there.
Hmm.
Um, but like Amazon offered him as well an opportunity to get a Switch, and and he was like, "Nah, no thanks." And then the next day they texted him back, was like, "Are you sure you don't want to take advantage of this? Here you go. Here's another opportunity." So you know, it looks like Nintendo managed to do what I thought that they hadn't done, which is to actually meet demand. Which
Hmm.
so I guess I have to eat crow a little bit here and say I jumped to conclusions too quickly, and they're doing a good job of meeting demand at this point.
Yeah, I guess I'll eat crow with you because I think I agree with you pretty much on that. My whole thing is this is but there is a little bit I will put an asterisk with this. I don't know if there's a demand as like there's demand for the hardcore fans and the fans that really want that console. But like I said, when I was hanging out in Texas and hanging out with nephew and nieces and stuff like that, nobody talked about Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the next generation wants to buy one, you would think. It's mainly us old heads that are talking about the Switch 2. That's it, and I guess if I'm an ex kind of casual and Nintendo fanboy, that's a little concerning to me, only because I want to see Nintendo succeed, but I think mixed with their weird decisions they've done with Switch 2 on some fronts, and what I think, and I think to me it was proof by just walking to a Best Buy and I could buy one. I feel like maybe it's not going to be as big as it, like this initial wave, I think is going to be great for Nintendo. But let's see a year out and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens. Because I don't think Metroid 4, again, for us old heads, we're going to love Metroid 4. I'll probably still buy it on Switch 1. At this point, I might buy a Switch 2 still. I don't know. But I've already resisted temptation once. But again, I wasn't in my home state to buy it and to just come home and play it. So. Um, but I just wonder if there's enthusiasm for it. And I guess you could find out yourself when you talk to your niece and nephew when they play Mario Kart World. Oh, and I wanted to talk to you about this too. I meet this cousin brought over his Nintendo Switch 2. Again, he's our generation. He bought one. Um, and our nieces on that side, they all love it and everything like that. And I played Mario Kart and I played Mushroom Cup
Mm-hmm.
50cc and I played all the way through. And it's Mario Kart. It's great. It's a really cool game. I still can't figure out the mechanics of the rail system and all that stuff, but it's my first time playing it. But it's great. It's a terrific game. But is there anything else with the Switch 2 right now? I don't know what's compelling enough to want to buy one.
I mean,
Um,
there's a bunch of pretty decent ports.
mhm.
Cyberpunk 2077 or whatever.
You bought
And
that, right? You
I
have
did not
that.
get it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I did pick up Street Fighter 6 again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mostly because Capcom released all of those amiibo for it, and it felt weird having like 26
Yeah,
amiibo cards and 3 amiibo
and
figures
not,
and not having Street Fighter 6.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then I did gamer math and was like, oh, I realized that if I wanted to get, it would cost the same to buy the year 1 and 2 character passes um,
yeah.
on PC, and
Uh-huh.
then if I just rebought the whole game with that content included on the Switch 2. So I was like, ah, screw it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I rebought it on the Switch 2, and it's a masterful port. I mean, they made almost zero compromises to get it to work on the Switch 2.
That's
Um,
great.
so just an incredibly impressive piece of optimization and porting. Um, but in terms of like exclusive to Switch, I mean Mario Kart, and there's this downloadable game called Fast Fusion, which is also a racing game, but it's more like
Mm-hmm.
F-Zero. And then
Mm-hmm.
of course there's the the GameCube retro collection. Um,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but that's about it. I mean, I wasn't going to waste my money on that silly tech demo thing.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't. I'm not going to spend $10 on that. If they discount it to, you know, I guess 5 or less, I'd probably, out of curiosity, pick it up. But at ten
I
dollars, it's
agree.
definitely not worth it.
It's yeah, it seems ridiculous for $10 for a tech demo.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
the funny thing is people are pointing out now that they've gotten to play it, you can't even utilize an experiment with all of the features in the tech demo unless you have the Switch 2 camera. You
what?
have, yeah, because well, I mean, because
Oh, man.
it's included in the tech demo, but if you don't have the camera or
Yeah.
a a webcam, if you don't have a pro controller, obviously you can't do any of the pro controller features. If you don't have
Okay.
a TV capable of HDR or 4K output, you can't do any of that stuff. If you don't have a TV capable of 120 hertz, so you can do 120 FPS, you can't utilize any of that stuff, right? So there are whole swaths of the product that you can't really take advantage of, I guess, for lack of a better word, unless you have all of these other things. Now, I do have the camera. I do have a 4K HDR TV. It's not
Mm-hmm.
capable of 120 hertz though. I do have a
Mm-hmm.
pro controller, so I could take advantage of most everything.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people out there who don't know any better, who are buying a Switch 2 with Mario Kart, taking it home, again, not knowing any better, buying this world, this collection thing,
Mm-hmm.
taking it home and going, wait, there's all of these things in this product that I can't take advantage of because I don't have a pro controller, I don't have a camera, I don't have a 4K HDR TV, I don't have a TV that can do 120 hertz. So anyway, all of that is just complaining to say it's a product that should have been free with the system. It's
Okay.
just still don't I don't understand why they are charging any money for it, let alone $10. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There you go. Maybe it'll drop to a lower price at some point. I have no idea, but unless it's like $5 or less, ideally less, it's not even something I'm remotely interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, have you exercised all of your excitement on Mario Kart World at a point where you're done with it, or you still playing it to death? Like, what do you feel about it so far?
I mean, it is a very robust game. There's a lot of stuff. There's
Mm,
there's 6 or 7, I think 6 Grand Prix in total.
yeah.
Obviously, 4 races each. Um, then there's the knockout tour, which
Mm-hmm.
has you just doing these long marathon races across the open world. Then there is the open world with a ton of activities and collectibles to do
Mm-hmm.
within it. I mean, it's a huge game. There's a lot to do in it. I'm enjoying it. but it is Mario Kart, you know. So I'll do a Grand Prix, or I'll do a knockout tour, or I'll, you know, putter around the open world for a little bit. I'm like, okay, I've had enough for now.
Okay.
It's not like a Mario where you find yourself constantly going just 5 more minutes and then 3 hours go by.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I like it. It's not perfect. I think Mario Kart 8 is still the better Mario Kart in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The deluxe version on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But I am enjoying it. I have no complaints. The
Mm-hmm.
AI is a lot more ruthless this time around. It's a
Mm-hmm.
harder game than Kart 8 was. But
Okay.
I mean, you know, that's not a huge deal, right? Because really the only thing you're supposed to be doing in these games anyway is racing. So if you have to redo a race, then whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so it is uh it is a good Mario Kart. I'm enjoying it. Is it the best Mario Kart? No, not in my opinion.
Okay.
I think
All
that
right.
there could be a lot of love applied to the open world portion of the game.
Uh-huh.
Um, just the UX on the open world portion is very, very lacking. I'm not going to belabor the point. What, you know, I've said everything I think already at this point that I need to say about that mode needs a lot of love, in my opinion. But no, it's good. I'm enjoying it. I mean, Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out in 10 days,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that we'll see how well that holds me. I mean, I like it. Looks great based on all the stuff that I've seen, and it's the Super Mario Odyssey team that put it together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there's a degree of pedigree we can assume from it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah.
But I think with Mario Odyssey, I feel like just the more I've watched Donkey Kong Bonanza, and seeing all the destructive stuff and everything like that. I mean, minor spoiler, but in Mario Odyssey, when you get to that Bowser section, it kind of feels like if it is the Mario Odyssey team, I think they just borrowed that level and turned it into a full-on game, right? I mean, that's what it seems like to
Why
me.
not? I mean,
And
yeah.
why not? Exactly, why not? It's like it's one of the coolest levels that Mario's had in forever. Where it's so unique, a different spin on stuff. It's a really cool level. And it's worth playing it to the end just to get to
Mm-hmm.
that level.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have a whole game based on that. That could be a lot of fun if you're into destroying stuff and causing chaos everywhere. Um, I bet it's gonna be a great game because if it's like we are saying, if it's the Odyssey team, it'll probably be great. It'll probably be a Hall of Fame type of game. The only again, not to poo-poo it too much, but it is Donkey Kong, and I don't know if Donkey Kong sells as well as Mario game does. Um, I mean the character that is the IP, but maybe this is the one that puts them on the map and puts them on the same level, like almost on the same level as Mario, but doubtful on that. But that's me. I'm just saying that
No, I think it's a
just to be
valid
practical
concern.
about it.
And
But
I think that Nintendo agrees with you. I mean, the amount of videos and trailers and explainer videos and Nintendo Directs devoted to just the game. I mean, they are doing everything in their power to make people understand what the game is and get excited for it.
Mhm.
Way more than they would do for something like, Super Mario Odyssey 2, right?
Yeah, which
Um,
kind of sells itself, right?
Yeah,
In a way.
exactly, exactly. Now, I love the redesign of Donkey Kong. I think it's
Uh-huh.
it's much more in line with the overall Nintendo aesthetic. So
Hmm.
I'm excited to play with that, and I also love that they're sort of gone all in on Pauline and made her sort of a part of the core franchise. She's always
Hmm.
been somewhat at
Hmm.
the periphery, so
Hmm.
it's a fun character that I think that they've, sort of like the newest Nintendo princess, if you will, even though I don't know that
Hmm.
Pauline considers herself a princess. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm adding fiction to a franchise that doesn't have a fiction. But anyway, um, I think based on everything I've seen, I'm bought in. I know I
Oh, I know you're gonna get it day one, right? I'm
oh
sure you're gonna get that.
I've already got
Yeah.
it pre-ordered. Yeah, so it just seems
Yeah.
completely right up my alley. Yeah, I mean, me, like action games, action platformers
Hmm.
like that. That's my bread and butter, right? Like
Hmm.
that's my
Hmm.
favorite thing, and so I'm looking forward to that. and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed based on everything I've seen. I can
Yeah.
usually predict pretty well if I'm going to like something or not like something, especially given
Okay.
how much Nintendo and effort Nintendo has put into marketing the game and explaining the game. I feel pretty
Hmm.
confident that I'm going to dig it. So I'm not
Yeah.
worried about that. So that'll be the real test. But I mean, the thing is the the Switch 2 is an iterative product. It
Yeah.
it always was. They made a conscious decision to not reinvent the wheel again, which I still maintain was the right decision.
I
Um,
agree.
but the end result is it's just new games at a slightly higher fidelity, right? And so, there's really no gimmick to fall back on this time, right?
Yeah, except for an enhanced Joy-Con that has mouse movement in it, really, right?
Right. What
I don't even think they've improved the accelerometer in those things or anything. I feel like it's kind of the same. I mean, that's the impression I got, but you've been more hands-on with than I have. I mean, I played it for about a good hour, hour and a half. Amit and I both played it, and it's great. It's exactly what I would expect for a Switch 2.
Mhm.
But at the same time, there was nothing. It was just all the bread and butter with it will only show up in time with other games that get to show off more of its horsepower, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, what was your thoughts? Like,
Oh, I mean, yeah, I think that like the gimmicks that it has, the higher fidelity force feedback,
uh-huh.
the mouse controls on either Joy-Con, the game chat, which I will never use because I don't usually play online multiplayer games on the Switch. And
Okay.
B, if I'm going to, I'll use Discord um
Yeah, a lot of
or
people are saying that same thing.
FaceTime or any. I mean, I'm not. There's no point. I just don't see the value personally in making my viewable screen smaller for game chat when I could just grab my
Hmm.
phone or my iPad, sit it right next to me, and have a full screen devoted to that, and then still can take full advantage of my TV, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think the game chat thing is a solution looking for a problem. Um, and it's not really, after experimenting with it a little bit, it's not really something I imagine I will ever use in the entire time that I own a Switch 2. That's my guess.
And it is weird how Nintendo really they dedicated a whole button to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of sad to I mean, I know I mean in his for Nintendo's history being so conservative about stuff, why dedicate a button to something that some people will never use? It feels so this is the only it feels a little bit out of character to me for that particular button. I almost feel like I just wish you could have just buried it in a UX menu and just bring it up. Because I don't think people are just chomping at the bit to just play multiplayer Mario Kart and just like what you said, shrink their screens and everything else. Like why? Um, yeah, there's too
Yeah,
many other types of apps out there that will let you do it better and enjoy the game, without diminishing anything.
I agree. I think it's the classic case of Nintendo coming to a feature 10 years too late. Um,
Yeah.
they're for all of their innovation, they've always been very stodgy when it comes to internet communication.
Hmm.
Partially because they are perceived as a largely a brand for families, and they want to enable parents to protect their children's privacy and
Yeah.
safety and all that kind of stuff. Um, but also because I don't know, on some level, I just think Nintendo still thinks the internet is a fad, and that people are going to get tired of it, and I don't know, man. If this was a feature that had been on, like, and it wouldn't have been possible on the Wii or the Wii U or something like that, it would have been hailed as revolutionary, right? But it's a feature
Yeah.
that's, I think, at least 10 years too late at this point. Um, and so yeah, it's a little bit weird that they are going so hard in on this by actually putting a dedicated button on the controller, a button that quite frankly, the only time I've pressed it has largely been on accident.
Hmm.
um,
Yeah. And that was my next question to you was have you actually because once in a great while I'll hit my home button as I'm playing a game like
hmm
oh and I swear I cuss like a pirate for a second and I go right back into the game.
hmm
But having another one down there that does nothing for me, I think I would get super annoyed by that. So you've already ran into that. You've accidentally hit it a couple times,
I
huh?
have accidentally hit it a couple of times. Yeah, almost
Uh,
immediately. Yeah, so I don't know. Um, it is what it is. I don't think it's going to get much use from me or frankly from anybody, but whatever. It's ultimately benign and it doesn't make things
hmm
worse. So,
hmm
um, that's it's fine. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy the Switch too. It is still very, very early in its life cycle,
Yeah.
and because they're trading on people's interest in the first platform and so largely relying on software to do the heavy lifting for the platform, it's going to take some time to see how well it does. I mean, um, they're not doing the Microsoft thing where they just hardcore deprecate the older
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah.
Far from it. In fact, they're trying to leverage Switch one as sort of the hey, hand me to your little brother system, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Um,
impression I'm seeing. I mean, that's what it didn't Bowser NOA's president say the same thing. Like, well, if you can't afford a Switch 2, that's what the Switch 1's for. I mean, it kind of I don't know if the messaging got was the best the way he said it, but to me it makes a lot of sense. Like,
yeah,
there's no way a parent's going to buy a $500 machine for their 8-year-old.
right. It's just
It's
not.
it's just it's not feasible.
No, I agree. But I mean, I think we've talked about this, so I won't really belabor the point that much. But
Hmm.
um, honestly, this level of gaming, this kind of boutique gaming,
Hmm.
it's not for kids anymore. It's
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
adults. And I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't know if there is any sort of long-term sustainability in that sort of demographic space, but there is a lot of markets for kids on the iPads and the iPhones, right? And
Yeah.
I think we'll
Yeah.
continue to see Nintendo do some mobile offerings here and there. They've certainly made a lot of money on some of the stuff that they've done already, like Pokemon Go and
Hmm.
um, Mario Kart Tour and the Animal Crossing game that they sunset a few years ago. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with catering to the different demographics, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the
Hmm.
Switch 2 being a boutique product that is intended for adults, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I do appreciate they're not abandoning Switch One. I mean, the thing that I don't know that I would ever get use from it, but I think it's cool. Is like in Donkey Kong Bonanza, they have a simplified two-player mode where one person takes control of Donkey Kong, and the
Hmm.
other person consists by like shooting out projectiles as Pauline.
Hmm.
And what's really cool is you can um, uh, cast it or like share it without a second game card onto a Switch One and play it. So you can have a Switch 2 and a Switch 1. You can have your kiddo who you've done the hand me down to the Switch 1 and that kiddo can play with you while you play the main game, right? I think it's kind of fun. It's similar to how Mario Super Mario Odyssey worked, but a little bit
Yeah.
more flexible because of its single card support for multiplayer.
Yeah, now isn't that, I mean, in theory, couldn't you just cast your Mario Kart World over to me as a your buddy and then we could play it together online? I can't remember if that's the case or not with
No, I don't think you can share online. You can like
okay.
loan games to people,
Yeah.
but that temporarily transfers the game license to the other system.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought for some reason there was some sort of way to share the yeah, I know it's probably a lot it's probably gonna cause a bottleneck or anything like that to send the game over Wi-Fi to play it, but I thought there was gonna be something where they could let you do something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That I haven't heard of.
And the other thing is, and this kind of brings up the whole sharing game thing, but the I did see again, this is all online random stuff, but I did see that the third party games, except for Cyberpunk, have not had great returns on game sales right now. Like their third parties are kind of struggling with sales on the system right now. But again, it could be just adoption. And at this point, what do you expect? It's only a couple weeks old, so I'm sure Nintendo Switch 1 was kind of the same. Or took a little while to ramp up. I didn't buy Nintendo Switch 1 until Ring Fit came out. So that was years after. I think I bought mine during the pandemic, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but at
So
that point,
three
you already
years.
had it.
Yeah.
You were a launch day
Well, I mean,
person,
it took
right?
me about 8 months to get my hands on one, but yeah.
8 months. Okay. I thought
Yeah.
for some reason you got it. Okay. But anyways, you got it a lot earlier than I did. But even then, yeah, but it took a while to ramp up. Like I don't know how many units are out there now for the Switch. I can talk about the numbers before, but yeah, I mean, I guess third party games are not selling that great on the Switch right now. And I don't know whether it's because of that whole different setup they have with the red cartridge, where it's pretty much just the game did from the digital shop essentially, and you just have a permission piece of plastic let you download it, I guess, by opening up the cartridge case. I'm not sure. But I don't, but I also see Nintendo's point, which is games are getting bigger, more ginormous, and they can't fit everything on a cartridge. So what do you do? I don't fault them for trying something different, but
Well, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion yet on the whole
Hmm.
the cart just being a license code to download it.
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't really bought a physical game in, I don't know, 5 years or more. I mean, I download all of my games anyway, so I'm totally bought in on the digital ecosystem, and the people who I've seen most affected by this are the traditional collectors, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and if you are a traditional collector, I totally get it. It's not the same thing. There isn't a sense of ownership when you're simply buying basically a licensing dongle that you insert into the game or into the console. But I don't know, it doesn't really affect me because I'm not a collector in that way.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it could be like a foreboding kind of what's the word I'm looking for? A foreshadowing of negative things to come. But I think what it is all of the third party games that are on the Switch 2 for the most part are available on other platforms that are far more
Hmm.
established than the Switch 2 are, have
Yep.
a deeper
Yeah.
user base, or maybe not even quite as expensive. And for someone who owns a gaming quality PC or a PS5, they probably would have already bought it on that rather than
Yeah.
waiting to get a Switch 2. So I think it has more to do with um
It's already
just
existed,
right exist
and
yeah.
somebody's already bought it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, that's my uninformed take. I could be totally wrong, but we'll just at this point we're just gonna have to wait and see how it goes.
What's your opinion on the screen right with the Switch 2? When I played it, again, I interacted with it an hour. I thought it was great. But there are some YouTubers out there that are saying Nintendo lied about the HDR screen and it's not true HDR. All these like very technical specific terms that my naked eye can't really see. I just don't, I guess I don't observe it the same way. But they were saying some of these guys were saying like the Switch 1 screen was actually better in some ways, but I thought the Switch 2 screen was fine. I thought it was
Yeah.
exactly what I expect for a Switch 2 screen.
Yeah, think about
Any thoughts
the
on
yeah.
yours?
I mean, I would say think about the intended audience, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
sites like Digital Foundry and a lot of these YouTube streamers, they're either professional
Mm-hmm.
gamers or they've got a hard on for technology, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their bar is going to be unbelievably high. And they probably frankly, I suspect that it's a moving bar too. And no matter what Nintendo or anybody, I'm not saying that they're calling Nintendo out specifically, but I suspect that they've always got an axe to grind, no matter what it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the Switch 2 screen has some ghosting, like its refresh rate isn't as
Yeah, that's what it
fast.
was. It was yeah, the ghosting thing. Yeah.
But
Um,
I certainly didn't notice it,
I
and
didn't notice it either.
when the video, the videos online that I'm looking at it, they're the only way you can see it is if you zoom in extremely close, almost to the point where you can see the individual pixels. And I'm like, who is actually
Who does
who
that?
does that? Nobody does that, right? So it was just like it was just a ridiculous thing that I didn't take seriously whatsoever. The screen is extremely bright. It's
Mhm,
extremely clear. I've not had any problems playing on handheld. Um, and it does support HDR. It does support 120 um, FPS. It does support 1080p.
mhm.
Everything that Nintendo said it supports, it supports. Does it support it at a bleeding edge technology level? No, probably not. But
Yeah,
the damn thing is already $500. How much did you want it to be? I mean, if you threw an
yeah.
OLED in there with 100,
It's gonna cost. You're gonna look at 800 bucks or more at that point, right?
exactly,
I would
exactly. Well, I
imagine.
mean, that's how much the Steam Deck OLED costs is like $700. So,
Hmm.
um, which is still cheaper than a gaming PC, but still, $700 is a shitload of money. So,
Yeah, it's a chunk of change.
um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I look at those videos and I chuckle to myself a little bit because these are videos that are being made for probably less than 1,000 people. um,
yeah,
I think a vast majority of people own a Switch 2, myself included, can't tell. I mean, I can barely tell the difference between 30 and 60 frames a second. I mean, just at the edge of my ability to perceive it.
hmm,
And so the idea of a game running at 120 FPS, I'm not saying that people can't tell the difference, right? I'm saying I can't tell the difference. And so
yeah,
it's just not a thing that impacts me whatsoever.
yeah,
And so,
yeah.
yeah, I kind of chuckle at the Digital Foundry videos because it really is a niche of 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 a niche, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I just and this kind of I mean it's kind of goes down to the same thing with 30 FPS versus 60 FPS, you know. Um I don't really care if it's 60 versus 30. It doesn't bother me. If I can do my Twitch reflex and do something in Monster Hunter, I don't care. If it goes down to 12 frames per second or you get a little bit of a slowdown, sure, I totally would understand that, but I feel like it's the same kind of technical stuff that people are kind of grumpy about where they're saying 30 versus 60. Now granted, I do see a slight difference with 30 versus 60, but a lot of people don't even perceive that.
Right. I barely do.
Yeah. Um, and if it doesn't impact the game or my reflexes to kill Count Dracula at the end of Castlevania or whatever game I'm playing, then it's not a big deal to me.
Yeah, agreed. Totally agree.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I just don't think my nephew even
Yeah.
knows what 30 FPS means, let alone the difference between the two, right? Now, again, I
Yeah.
mean, we just, spoke about how these boutique consoles are not really for my nephew who's 10 years old, but all the same, he has a Switch and he loves the Switch, and um he
I'm
doesn't.
sh I'm sure he's gonna be excited to see a Switch too when you go hang out.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
He will geek out. Yeah,
I mean, it's a new
but
toy. Who doesn't like playing with a new toy, right?
sure, sure. So now here's the other thing. I suspect I know what the answer is, but now that you have a Steam Deck and you have a
Mm-hmm.
Switch 2, is it even fair to compare? Is it apples and oranges kind of a thing? Like, what do you think? Like, are you happy? I'm sure you're happy with both,
Yeah.
but is it even a fair comparison? Um,
Yeah, it is. The Steam Deck is better at some things, and the Switch 2 is better
mm,
at some things. They are comparable pieces of technology that are both capable of, playing games at effectively medium settings by today's standards. Um, and yeah, I mean, they both look great. They're both incredible pieces of technology, and I think they're both fantastic. And frankly, I don't really feel like I need any other system beyond the Steam Deck and the
yeah,
the Switch 2. Every game I could possibly want to play is playable on one or
on either
both of
one or the
those
other.
systems. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the main reason, that's the main justification for buying a Switch 2 at this point is you want to buy first party games. That's their main thing. You're not going to get
Mm-hmm.
the library on Steam Deck. So,
Mm-hmm.
and again, Nintendo does make good, like their first party games are, for the most part, always terrific, always great, and it's worth it for that alone. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah, but I find it interesting though that you did get Street Fighter 6, and again with your gamer math, I would have done the exact same thing you would have done.
And I
The fact
was,
that you have it on both,
yeah,
you already
well,
have it twice. It's
yeah.
pretty funny.
So I will say Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2 looks much better than it does on the Steam Deck.
It looked like that to me. I saw the comparison videos. I thought the Switch 2 looked like it. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what it was, but it looked better. It looked great.
And in addition to that, the Switch 2 is built from the ground up to go back and forth between a TV and in
Uh-huh.
handheld mode. And
Yeah.
obviously the Steam supports outputting to a TV, but I have noticed that it doesn't output to televisions as elegantly or
Hmm.
consistently as the Switch 2 does. And so if there's a game that I know for certain I want to be able to play on a TV and I can get it on the Switch 2, at this point I'll get it on the
That's
Switch
your
2.
priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, not to knock the Steam Deck. I mean, it's a miraculous piece of technology, but it is not as capable as the Switch 2 is in terms of outputting to
Hmm.
the TV. So yeah.
Hmm. That's good to know. So next time, I mean, I've been kind of perusing BestBuy.com and looking at the Lenovo Go, or I think is what they have, and then they
Mm-hmm.
also have the
Mm-hmm.
Asus ROG, or how do you pronounce it? Their version of Steam. There's all
Mm-hmm.
these Steam Deck clones now. But I am curious about those too. But that's a whole other conversation for another day.
They have their fans, but I think by and large, the Steam Deck is still the
It's still the primary, right?
yeah, it's still the choice for most. It's the choice of a new generation.
Yeah.
So anyway. Um, so do you want to maybe we just wrap up here since you just got back and
Yeah, I think yeah, you read my mind. I think I'm in a pretty good spot anyway.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've got Calamity now landing on the Warhog,
Mm-hmm.
and then her looking back and realizing that her tail is now much more shorter, and therefore it's the new and improved Calamity Jane,
Yep, yep,
to solve the problem of the day,
yep.
dealing with these Warhogs. So yeah, so we have that happening, and then this the actual happy realization as she's wiggles her tail back and forth and stuff like that. We'll kind of get to that maybe next week, and we'll keep on working on this scene.
I will
But we do have
yeah,
we do have the foundation in here. Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry.
I will I don't know if I'm going to be back in time next week. I will be driving back from my parents' place in
Mm,
middle of nowhere, Tennessee.
hmm.
I want to say that I will be back in time. But right now it really depends on when I get out of their property and what traffic looks like coming into Atlanta. So I will,
Sure.
right now it's a tentative yes, but we might need to cancel, but I'm not going to know more until closer to the to Monday. So just FYI for all of our viewers.
And you know what the great thing is there's always gonna be something else to talk about. I'm sure there's gonna be more Nintendo and Switch 2 stuff to talk about, whether next week or the week after. So no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a never-ending cavalcade of conversation at the Calamity Jane weekly live stream.
Well, cool.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there tonight. Won't you please consider heading on over to calamityjane.rocks. That'll take you to our Patreon site. There you can subscribe and help us make this cartoon a reality. You can also find us on YouTube and Facebook, which presumably you have since you're watching the stream right now. And we're also on Instagram, which is just another place for you to keep updated about all the crazy things that we're doing. Otherwise, we'll be back maybe next week, but almost certainly the week after. Until then, stay safe out there, everybody, and good night.
Good night.